hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy, hims.com/joy.
It's BullseyeEventGroup.com, the Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. Your Colts game day experience, the best it can be. Log on and get your passes now. BullseyeEventGroup.com. Hook her up this holiday season. Shopping for her dream engagement ring or a beautiful piece of jewelry. See my friends at Moyer Fine Jewelers in Carmel, the city's best selection of fine jewelry. Tell them JMV sent you.
From the DriveHubler.com studios, this is 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Oklahoma hosts Alabama in round one of the college football playoff. Tomorrow night at 7:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
This is Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All kinds of stuff going on here on a busy, newsy Thursday. We'll get back into the Steichen Richardson thing in just a second. Wanted to send this along from the X-Post Twitter. This is from Ben Devine, who covers, it appears, the Bears in the Chicago area. He sent a post that says, here's how fast Indiana is moving. They have already signed a bill allowing major sports complexes to be built tax-free in Northwest Indiana. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe Indiana, again, that becomes then, and this is like I said earlier, well above my pay grade of the understanding of how the logistics would work of a team if it was, would they have to move all of their headquarters to Northwest Indiana? If they were to build a stadium here, could they be headquartered as a business entity in Chicago, but play their games in, Merrillville or Gary or whatever it might be? I don't know.
Isn't that like either of the New York teams? I would have to look into this.
Well, different states, obviously, with New York and New Jersey. I have no idea. I mean, there is, Eddie, without getting too far into the weeds here, I could be wrong. I don't live in that area. But I think that when you talk about the lawmakers and certainly the politics of Chicago versus the state government of Indiana, it is probably more slippery than it is between New York and New Jersey. Now, I will say, if the Bears are contemplating this and getting this heavy into it, be forewarned that the phrase, why not Indiana, is trademarked. Now, if the Bears would like to sell T-shirts to alarm the city of Chicago and its lawmakers that say, why not Indiana, then we could talk. I'm all about it. I'm all about if the Bears want to do that. Also, Andrew Luck was earlier on, and I like this guy a lot, did a little bit with him during the Super Bowl when it was here. I'll be honest, I was not totally aware that he was still doing a show. I think it's an online show. But Andrew Luck was on with Jim Rome today and said that the Colts never called Andrew Luck. And not that that's a surprise, and that's not a bad thing. But Jim Rome asked him how many chances or how many times he had to say no to the Colts, and he said 0, but I am where I need to be. I would have politely declined had the Colts called. And I think probably Chris Ballard is aware of that. All right, let's get back into this situation. 239-1070 is the telephone number. I'm going to play again. I almost want to do this like unsolicited. Unsolicited is the wrong word, I'm sorry. Without leading you, without bias. I have my own thought. I think I've probably voiced that, but I want people to listen to this and then tell me what you hear or don't hear. Okay? Shane Steichen asked earlier today about Anthony Richardson now that Anthony Richardson has been medically cleared to practice. And again, what we know, these are all just facts that I'm pointing out. Shane Steichen had said that while the eye was cleared for Anthony Richardson to return to practice, that Anthony Richardson was not in the physical conditioning just yet, and that they would need some time. That then was, the question was raised of, What sort of physical conditioning does a former top 5 pick that was taking snaps in the National Football League, as recently as a year ago, need to get into to equate to a 44-year-old that has not played in 5 years after 5 weeks off? What condition was he in then 6 weeks ago? Reggie Wayne, when someone brought up that question mark on social media, replied with, "Are you at home or in the building?" Which would imply to me that what Reggie Wayne is saying there, without realizing he's saying it, is, look, you have no idea the behind the scenes with Anthony Richardson. To which raises the question, well, what are the behind the scenes? So today, when Shane Steichen was discussing the availability of players for Monday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers, like, for example, the fact that DeForest Buckner is back, the fact that Bernard Ryman and Sauce Gardner are not practicing today, he was then asked about Anthony Richardson and the difference between being medically cleared to practice and playing.
Yeah, I think you get the clearance from the bone structure. That was cleared, obviously, but there was limitations with that, with the vision that's healing. So he's working through that. Like I said, he's going to have to manage it, get him out on the practice field and go from there.
Okay. So then here is Anthony Richardson when asked about those comments from Shane Steichen.
I feel normal, I'm able to see, able to drive, walk around, not bump into anything. So there's not really major limitations, it's just a little different because of the impact that happened to my eye. But, most of it's really the same. I'm still able to move around the same and do everything I need to do. So that's not that bad.
Okay. 239-1070 is the telephone number. Maybe people are exhausted by it. Maybe I'm guilty of, because this is the case. At times, Eddie, as you know, maybe I overthink things. Maybe I overanalyze things or overinterpret things. But
that's not that bad.
Your thoughts on that, Eddie? What do you hear in that?
I hear Anthony trying to downplay it a little bit. And I think Shane is being a little more truthful about the situation. Just because there's been so many injuries on the history of Anthony Richardson that he's paranoid about this, this lingering. And like, hey, why isn't he out there? Why isn't he out there? This, that, and the other. And he's saying, yeah, guys, I'm fine. It's not that bad.
So do you think, let me ask you this.
But it's also, it's no shock to me that these two aren't on the same page. Like, you go back to how the whole benching was handled last year with Anthony Richardson, and the messaging between him and Shane Steichen totally different.
Do you believe that Shane Steichen is being truthful and Anthony Richardson is being guarded because Anthony Richardson does not want to affect or impact his stock, knowing that he is on the cusp of perhaps from another team perhaps signing him or getting the opportunity to play to still get a second contract in the NFL?
Yeah, that's a fair point to bring up, Jake, because if you think about it, if other teams are monitoring the situation, because let's say you're the New Orleans Saints and you are interested in potentially trading for Anthony Richardson because you don't think Tyler Shuck is a franchise-level quarterback, and you want to bring in a guy who is going to be in the final year of his rookie contract. He may play with a chip on his shoulder, like, hey, I got to, play well so I can secure a quote-unquote bag, as the kids say. And you kind of give Kellen Moore, the head coach, the quarterback that he wants, if he is, if he chooses Anthony Richardson as the guy he wants to, potentially build around as the quarterback. You've got Anthony telling all these other guys, like, hey, look, yeah, I'm fine. It's the other people that are holding me back. It's Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard and the training staff. Who knows? They're the reason why I'm not playing. It's not me. I'm fine. I can go out there and play Sunday if needed.
I mean, it certainly feels like that's kind of what he's indirectly saying, right? Like, yeah. But the Richardson, it's in Richardson's best interest to indicate that Richardson can play. It's in Steichen's best interest, probably, or the best interest of the Colts, to indicate that if he could play, he would be out there because you want his value to be high. But I am simply convinced Shane Steichen wants no part of that.
Me too.
Shane, I am, and I'm probably going to be off base here, and I will gladly admit if and when I'm wrong. I don't believe that Anthony Richardson takes another meaningful starting snap as an Indianapolis Colt. Even if it's next year and Daniel Jones is re-signed and Daniel Jones is not available until late September. Even if Daniel Jones' first start as a Colt next year, you have to make the decision whether to go to the Covered Bridge Festival or watch the Colts with Daniel Jones in his first start. The games that would precede that, the 2 to 3 of them, even if Anthony Richardson is available, I don't believe he starts. I think it's Riley Leonard, or I don't think it'd be Phillip Rivers, but that sounds to me like what we are seeing is a guy that, from a head coaching standpoint, and I don't think it's personal. I don't. It goes back to just quarterbacks need to have a coach that believes in what they can do in tight situations. And coaches need quarterbacks that they are comfortable delivering to them a message or a game plan or requesting of them an execution of what they need done. And I just think Shane Steichen is out on that. And I think that we all favor familiarity. We do. In anything. And the familiarity for Shane Steichen clearly is with Daniel Jones, which is ironic because he had Richardson first, but not consistent Richardson. Again, maybe I'm misreading it, but that sounds to me like, in fact, a coach that's totally out. Eddie, do you think the Bears really could move to Indiana?
I have no idea. I wish I could give you a more direct answer, yes or no, but I've got no clue.
I would think that the Colts, and this is what will get interesting. The Colts are a heartbeat organization of this community. From a civic pride standpoint, from a revenue standpoint, from a branding standpoint. And the Pacers, interesting that the Indiana Pacers, yet, and part of this is just NFL versus NBA, I think you could make the argument that the Colts have a fan base that encompasses a larger percentage or portion of Indiana than do the Pacers. And a lot of that is just because of the nature of the NBA. The NBA is more of a stars league. And so if you're a kid living in Fort Wayne or Evansville or South Bend, your favorite team, more likely, it's less about who your favorite team is and who your favorite player is, because the NBA markets individual stars. So what do we call it? The Carmel Pups games? When the Golden State Warriors are here, or the Lakers are here, or Giannis is here, or Wembanyama is here. I can tell you the ticket requests for those games go up exponentially because you have kids in Elwood and Terre Haute and Fort Wayne and Muncie that they love those players and they want to see them play, and so they come to Cambridge to see them play against the Pacers. And the NFL standpoint, it's more about like the team itself. But the Colts have become such an integral part of this city in this state that I would be curious to see whether or not the Colts would go to state lawmakers and say, look, I know that you just passed apparently or allegedly some sort of legislation that a stadium could be built tax-free here. That seems to me to be that if that report is true, it surprises me, I'll be honest with you. But it wouldn't surprise me if eventually Carly Ursay-Gordon or Dan Emerson, who's the legal representative of the Colts, went to the state, understandably so, and said, look, we need to discuss this, because it would not be in the Colts' best interest. I think the Colts, only in the last 10 years or so, the Colts have made a very concerted effort, even though they are the Indianapolis Colts, to brand as a state team. They're playing this Monday night with the Indiana Knights uniforms. Yeah, maybe that parlays or plays off of the Tom Petty lyric, but the logo itself is the Colts C with the state of Indiana outline subtly and subliminally within it. And it's in their best interest to market and brand themselves, and they have done more in the last decade, it would seem, between sponsoring the high school football state finals and traveling around with blue and doing such other things to get. And in northern Indiana, though, it is true also on the other side of that you get north of Lafayette and you get into that weird region where you're in the central time zone, and then certainly you get into the region. Gary, Merrillville, East Chicago. The Bears are the team up there. No question. I get it. But having people sitting on their couch to watch the team versus having people like going out and buying even more merchandise of or whatever else the team, or having then the team from a national branding standpoint be associated with Indiana are two different things. Because then you also get into, honestly, things like, for example, and I'm not going to say any names, but if a major branded beverage or a major branded athletic gear does marketing and merchandising within a certain state, you know how it is. You're driving to Florida, you stop at a rest stop somewhere in rural Georgia, and you get yourself a soft drink, and it's got the Falcons logo on the bottle, and it's the special commemorative, collect all 25 Falcon Legend can, whatever. That the Falcons get a cut of that. And they say, we're doing this all across the state of Georgia. And yes, there probably is some truth to the fact that the NFL, when they do those things now, puts the Bears to an extent within the state of Indiana, but it's still in the Colts' best interest to make sure from all marketing and all attachment standpoint that the state of Indiana is ubiquitously as much as possible associated with the Colts and not another franchise. And so it would surprise me if the Colts are not currently and actively working on doing something to make sure that that is not going to happen. And I still maintain it's probably all for naught. Eddie, today we were discussing, you and I were strategizing, right?
About what? We talk outside of the noon to 3?
It was mostly text. And it was, the discussion we had was, do we need to have somebody on right now from Chicago to discuss this? And I said, let's not do it yet, because I think this is literally, it's like anything else. No matter where you work, it's always nice for your employer to think that you have options when you're in a contract year, because you want to be able to say, hey, I want my boss to think like, you know what, we're going to have to give this guy a raise or else we might lose him to across the street.
It's the word that resulted in the Colts picking up a win, Jake, that you're describing right now. Leverage.
Yes, leverage. And the Bears are trying to create leverage. Do the Colts want the NFL television footprint in areas of northern Indiana where they're televised? Do they want that all of a sudden now being a more legitimate discussion about shrinking the level of the regional broadcast that where the Colts get penetration to your television? No. But the Bears want those that can come up with the money to build them a new stadium. They absolutely, without question and with 100% certainty, want that market to go, oh gosh, what would it mean? What would it mean to the city of Chicago, to the revenue of Chicago, to the sales tax of Chicago, if now all of a sudden the Bears are playing in a different state? And a different state where lawmakers in Chicago already in different areas and in different discussions have beef, for lack of a better phrase, with the state of Indiana. Speaking of the state of Indiana, Tom Allen is down now in South Carolina with Clemson. He is the defensive coordinator there. Clemson getting set for the, is it called the Pinstripe Bowl, the Yankee Bowl? Is that what it is?
I think it's Pinstripe Bowl.
They've got Penn State, right?
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. So if you're
his former team,
if you're Penn State and you're playing in that game, don't you then call it the Pinstripe Bowl and you spell it P-E-N-N-S-T-R-I-P-E?
Oh, you have to, right?
I would
think.
have to. That's right. It is his former team. So Clemson and Penn State, and I'm sure when Tom Allen went there, he thought the last thing that he expected was that he was going to be the defensive. I mean, at the beginning of the year, Clemson, keep in mind, it was thought that Clemson was one that had an inside track on the number one seed in the college football playoff. But instead, it is the Indiana Fighting Hoosiers and Tom Allen in getting ready for the Pinstripe Bowl. And I know that the guys played this morning, but there's something about it that caught my ear. Tom Allen was asked, he was snapping, he was doing the fight song, and then he was asked about Indiana being the number one seed, and here's what he had to say, and listen to the very end.
Just super happy for the players. Man, I've texted a bunch of them, their parents, just so happy for them. A bunch of those guys are playing for them. You know, we got one was the Big Ten Player of the Year on the offensive line, and the kickers doing extremely well. Receivers, a bunch of linemen, DBs, you know, just one of their linebackers. Just really, really happy for those guys, and just really happy that they've chosen to invest in football. You know, that's something they know they needed to do. Said that when I left, and they had not done that in the past at a level that was necessary, and it's been awesome to see them recognize that and invest and be able to see them be rewarded for that.
In his defense, he did say that. He did say on the way out that Indiana needed to put better capital into the football program. And here they are, number one seed overall. Christmas is upon us, and we've talked about women in sports. A good friend of the show. And he has we've been doing investigative work all day, a little 007 within his ex-post Twitter account. I'm talking about David Woods, former writer of the Indianapolis Star. Been covering a local athlete a lot lately. I want to ask him about that and about the book he's got out that is going to be perfect to end up under a tree near you soon. We'll explain next.
This Christmas, get a bonus AI Essentials course when you enroll in any My Computer Career IT program by the end of the year. That's a $3,900 value. Attend classes online or on campus. Enjoy lifetime job placement support and IT certifications in high demand. Go to mycomputercareer.edu today and take the free career evaluation. That's mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Conditions apply to AI offer, and financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill.
Bowling, 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 keep them balls a-rolling. Bowling, 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 Royal Pin.
The holidays are rolling in at Royal Pin Entertainment. Celebrate the season your way with cheer-filled holiday parties. From thrilling bowling lanes to action-packed laser tag, there's fun for everyone. And when it's time to refuel, enjoy delicious catering options that'll satisfy any crowd. Need to unwind? The full-service bars are ready to serve. At Royal Pin Entertainment, they cater to events of all sizes with some of the largest event spaces in Indianapolis. Perfect for corporate Christmas parties, family gatherings, or any festive get-together. Give your group the unforgettable holiday experience they're hoping for.
Set them up, knock them down, send them flying, spinning round.
Book your holiday event now at RoyalPin.com. That's RoyalPin.com.
Royal Pin, bowling, bowling, Royal Pin.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is Kevin and Kim at Reinhardt Heating and Cooling. This holiday season, your home comfort is our business. We are here to keep your family warm and comfortable, just like we have for 40 years.
We appreciate your business throughout the year, and we are always here if you need us. From our entire Reinhardt Heating and Cooling family, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Keeping you warm in Danville, Avon, Heritage Lake, and all of Hendricks County, Reinhardt Heating and Cooling is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Hi, I'm Andy, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. As a product development manager, I make sure every piece of fine jewelry at Shane Company is meticulously designed for quality. From 14-karat gold chains, pearl necklaces, diamond studs, and of course, dream engagement rings. We know you can get your holiday gifts anywhere these days, but knowing your loved one's gift was crafted by master jewelers? It's a difference everyone can see and feel, no matter the price. All of our fine jewelry begins with a vision by our in-house designers. Then, we ensure each piece meets our high-quality standards every step of the way, including the smallest details. It's why our jewelry comes with our all-inclusive, free lifetime warranty that covers everything and doesn't cost a dime. At Shane Company, there's no shortcuts, just craftsmanship. Because a friend wants your fine jewelry to be nothing short of perfect. Come see for yourself. Visit us in store or at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Never have I ever called my sister from the finish line of my first marathon. Hello? You won't believe where I am. Are you running? Mile 26. I'm gonna make it.
Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e with its advanced camera system on us. Plus, 2 lines for just $30 a line.
Guys, I can't believe it.
I knew you could do it, babe.
That was amazing. Mom, how do you feel? I feel great. I can't feel my feet. Let's take a picture, and then you may carry me to the car.
Share every stride, every mile, every memory on America's best network. Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e on us and 2 lines for just $30 a line.
With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 eligible port-ins on Essentials 55 Plus for well-qualified customers with autopay plus taxes, fees, and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us. Finance agreement 128 gigabytes, $599.99 required. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data 1H 2025. Visit T-Mobile.com.
Four Winds South Bend's Ribbontown Event Center will be transformed into a night of glitz and glamour for a New Year's Eve party to remember. Enjoy live entertainment featuring DJ Jellyfish and Naughty, party favors, appetizers, and a cash bar. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. Dress to impress and ring in 2026 with a party at Four Winds South Bend. Your entertainment escape.
Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get super sure. Not kind of sure, not pretty sure, but super sure. Coming soon.
The Ride with JMV.
The one criticism that you have about, well, you didn't prepare. Nobody was talking about wanting to prepare with the backup quarterback earlier this year. And I know some of you are going to say, well, I mean, Daniel Jones does have a history with the Giants of an injury. Maybe you should have had somebody else on the ready. Well, I mean, they did have somebody else on the ready until he about popped his eyeball out trying to stretch before a game, and now he's no longer on the ready.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
The mood is right. The spirits are.
Query and Company. On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
And that's enough. Simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
Christmas time indeed is here. By the way, Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts, coming up 2:30 today. About an hour from now, we've been talking a lot about what's been going on with the Colts, and for that matter, the Chicago Bears, oddly enough. And I will, until I hear otherwise, I'm still going to sit here and say I just would be stunned. It's a leverage play by the Bears. I don't think they're actually going to come to Indiana. There's also a story I want to get to while still unconfirmed out of North Carolina that is kind of a breaking news thing that happened right when we went on the air, but more information is coming about. But before we get to all of that, wanted to bring back onto the program one of the real good guys in Central Indiana, a guy that you read about and have for years in terms of covering track and field athletes notably and the Olympic sports. Also is well aware of the accomplishment of women over time in Indianapolis and the state of Indiana, and has a new book, Inspiring Women of Indiana Sports is the title of the book. And by that, I mean not a book that is inspiring women, although it does do that, but rather a book about women who have been inspiring throughout their time in Indiana and in sports. And David Woods, who is David Woods 007 on the X Post Twitter, joining me now on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. David, happy holidays. How are you?
I'm doing great. Jake, thanks so much for having me on.
Let's go back to, and it's been a couple months since the book came out. I know we talked to you when it first came out, but this is, fabulous stuff, because what you did from, our conversation before is you just went back and thought to yourself, I got a lot of good stuff here that should all be put into basically one big album, right? Take me through just how this all came about, the Inspiring Women of Indiana Sports book.
Yeah, as you usually do, Jake, you got it exactly. Yeah, it occurred to me that because I had covered, Olympic sports and the Indiana Fever for so long, I had over time quite this collection of stories about Indiana women's sports figures, and gosh, most of them are, the backstories are pretty amazing. And I thought, gosh, I think this would be a neat book, and I passed it on to Indy Star sports editor Nat Newell, and he passed it on to people at Gannett, which has a relationship with Pediment Publishing. And lo and behold, and somewhat to my surprise, the book was published, and the editor Gene Myers did such a fabulous job of coming up with photos and stuff. It's an amazingly beautiful coffee table book. Of course, I was more concerned about the words, but the pictures make the whole thing just really exceeded my expectations enormously.
David, when you go back, if you think about it right now, and obviously the evolution of women's sports in Central Indiana in particular, but just nationally, it goes without saying, we've had the cross through of those, elite female athletes like a Florence Griffith Joyner that has had to compete in Indiana as a springboard to their career. But right now we are amidst, obviously with Caitlin Clark, a huge surge in terms of interest of women's sports in the Indiana Fever. When you've gone back and looked and studied it and looked at the articles that you have and the photos you have, is there any time that you would say was the golden era of women's sports in Indiana?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I know it was certainly, it was actually maybe not a golden moment, but a silver moment when Bridget Sloan and Samantha Peshek were on the 2008 Olympic gymnastics team that won the silver, kind of on foreign soil against the gold-winning China. That was remarkable because as I looked at the odds of making a women's gymnastics Olympic team, basically the odds are 1 in a million. Based on the number of girls who do gymnastics in the United States. And here Indiana had 2 girls on the team, and they didn't move here from elsewhere. They were from here, and they were at 2 different gyms even. So, that was certainly remarkable. But I don't know if there's been specifically a golden era. I mean, the Indiana athletes have won a lot of medals at the 2016, 21, and 24 Olympics. So, we might be in that era now.
David, it's when I have watched and followed along when the different stories that you've covered. And again, the book, by the way, is Inspiring Women of Indiana Sports. It's available from Pediment Publishing. That is pediment.com, pediment.com, pediment.com. Also, if you are familiar with my Twitter account, at Jake Query, I had just reposted David's yesterday mention of coming on the show. That has links as well for the book. Fabulous and perfect. Not only a book people would enjoy, but for the holidays, it goes without saying. It'll be a great gift item. David, when you look at today, and, you talk about Samantha Pessage, Bridget Sloan, one of those Olympians, and I know we're talking about women here, but Cole Hawker's kept you plenty busy, right? Just in terms of the things that you cover. And I know that it is our job to stay objective when covering athletes, but I can also tell and appreciate the fact that you, in covering Cole Hawker, have had a great appreciation and respect, kind of a pride of the fact that he's from Central Indiana, but I think more so you have been able to truly admire his career because of some of the different times that he has persevered, perhaps when others had written him off. And I can see in your writing that you are aware of that. What has it been like to follow his career?
Well, I told his agent a couple of years ago, actually, even before the Paris Olympics, that I thought he might end up becoming the most important sports figure I ever reported on a regular basis, and I do think he is. Winning the Olympic 1500 meters is an amazing achievement. To do so as an underdog, setting an Olympic record even more so. And then when he won a world championship at Tokyo in September at 5,000 meters, I mean, he's one of only 5 men who have won global titles at 1,500 and 5,000 meters. And we're talking about basically, the world's oldest sport, track and field. So that's it has been interesting to follow his career. Remembering him, watching, running at the cross country semi-state over at Shelbyville or the state meet in Bloomington. So to do what he's done is amazing, and I think he will go for a world record in the indoor 2-mile February 1st at the Millrose Games in New York, and the New York Armory. I think he'll aim for that.
David, does your book, by the way, Inspiring Women of Indiana Sports, the author of it and the articles in it that are featured in the book is David Woods, who joins me now on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. And I know that it is a collection of different stories that you had covered in your time here and covering sports in Central Indiana. Did you go back also retroactively to before those that you covered that may also have been featured or in photograph mentioned in the book?
I didn't per se, but I did. I did write about a couple of what I would consider, real pioneers in the sport. That they weren't active at the time, but as Cheryl Trevorgy set a marathon world record. She's out of North Central High School, and I wrote about her and her daughter, Shalane Flanagan, who went on to win an Olympic silver medal and win a New York Marathon, and also the prominent diver out of IU, Cynthia Potter, who has done. People might recognize her name because she's done commentary on every Olympics for going back to the 80s. She's been the commentator, and she still does it. So it's not all necessarily from the time I've covered, but that's what I focused on, and I was glad to get as many as 31 women covered. I could have included twice that many. So the hard part was kind of making the cut. But if it came down to inspirational story versus resume, I tended to go with the inspirational story.
Love it. Inspiring Women of Indiana Sports is the book. Pediment.com. That's Pediment. Pediment.com is the website where you can see it. David Woods 007 on the X or Twitter, whichever way you'd like to refer to it. David, happy holidays. Appreciate it as always. And again, congratulations on the book. I know it's going to be something that a lot of people enjoy, and I appreciate your time today.
Hey, thank you so much, Jake. Happy holidays to you, too, and everybody at the station.
Very much appreciated. David Woods joining us on the program. The other thing that I wanted to get to, several people have sent this to me, and obviously at this point it is one, sadly and tragically, where information is still coming in. But what we do know is this. In North Carolina, just before we went on today, as a matter of fact, I believe this happened in the 10 o'clock hour. It became the news was leaking out just before we went on. but a private plane that is by tail number owned by the Aviation Leasing Corporation of Greg Biffle, the former NASCAR star Greg Biffle, crashed this morning at 10:20. And that Cessna C550, the tail number is tied to Greg Biffle. Authorities in North Carolina, and sadly, tragically, disturbingly, it was a very fiery plane crash. And officials have said that it indeed does involve multiple fatalities. And based on the imagery of it, one would assume that the fatalities, unfortunately, would be anybody who happened to be on board. The assumption or the connection that one would make is that, in fact, because there was initial link that Greg Biffle and his wife and children would have been or were on said plane. It has not yet been confirmed of that fact, but there are multiple people that were close to Greg Biffle that are offering their notes of hope and asking for the prayers of Greg Biffle. So it would be irresponsible to conclusively say that's who it is. Either way, I hear I see a lot of people, and I understand it, that are like, oh gosh, please don't let it be these people or that people on a certain. The bottom line is there is a loss of life. That alone is tragic. In those situations, no one life is more important or more valuable than another. But Greg Biffle is someone who his name has been linked to a lot of great deeds. When North Carolina suffered the terrible flooding that they had after natural disasters, I want to say that was a year and a half, 2 years ago, whenever that was. The years all kind of go together. But he offered and he received a lot of praise, which is not the reason that he did it. But he had helicopters. He actually, I recall now, and I'm going off the top of my head here, but he owned a fleet, either a helicopter or a fleet of helicopters, and began using them to get goods in and out, to help people out, to help get people out of flooded areas. And in my limited time in being around NASCAR and covering the Brickyard 400, both from a television standpoint when it was at its absolute apex, to also being on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Radio Network broadcast, both in the pits and in turns during the driving career of Greg Biffle. While I did not know him well, I remember one of the early years of the Brickyard when he had a sponsorship and a partnership with an oil change corporation and did a big promotional thing where for all day long he provided, I'm not saying he himself, but the company provided free oil changes to anybody all day long, and he was there, and I interviewed him for that, and he was a really laid back we don't know that I should speak of him posthumously, but in that moment, he was a super laid-back interview, really fun guy and personable. And I remember that year in the race in the Brickyard, he led several laps and was running up towards the front. And even though it's not our job to do so, I remember kind of rooting for the guy because I'm like, man, he was just super cool. And, my good friend from high school and my then high school broadcast partner, Adam Alexander, has worked with Greg Biffle on the NASCAR side of things, has always spoken very glowingly about him. So certainly the most important and best intended thoughts for whoever it was that was tragically on board that plane, and we will wait to find out more information. But that is a story that is developing as we speak here. There is news from the Colts complex. Matt Taylor going to join us coming up bottom of the 2 o'clock hour. But those that are in and those that are out in terms of practice as they now get set for an Indiana Knights game, Monday Night Football against San Francisco. We'll let you know who's in and out, as of right now, who's in and out next.
It's BullseyeEventGroup.com, the Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. Your Colts game day experience, the best it can be. Log on and get your passes now. BullseyeEventGroup.com.
Welcome to Wawa. We're open 24/7, so when the sun goes down but everyone's still up, Wawa has your late night fuel. Headed to a hangout? Stop in for snacks and sodas. Binge your favorite shows with burgers and hoagies. gather around the table with garlic knots and a cheesy Wawa pizza. Or just chill on the couch with fries and whatever milkshake sounds good. Your night just got a whole lot tastier. Freshly made burgers, pizza, and so much more. When you got a late night craving, you got a Wawa. Price and participation may vary by store.
Christmas Nights of Lights Drive-Thru Holiday Spectacular returns to the Indiana State Fairgrounds November 7th through December 31st. Synchronize to your favorite Christmas tunes and a million sparkling lights. Enjoy a dazzling winter wonderland for the whole family. Reserve your spot at ChristmasNightsOfLights.com.
Hey there, it's Jake Query with a question for you. What are your dinner plans? Or do you even have a plan? I want you to be a hero tonight. Be a winner. Be a champion as a dinner provider. Get the Chicago's $25 medium pizza special tonight. 2 medium, 1-topping pizzas and an order of fresh hot breadsticks, all for just $25. You can pick up, delivery, dine in, DoorDash, whatever it might be. Be a winner at dinner with the $25 medium pizza family meal deal. This is not cheap, average, fast chain pizza. This is pizza with crust, handmade every day and topped generously with fresh ingredients made by local owner-operators who obsess over every slice. Add a salad, pasta, or sandwich to make any picky eater happy. Order online at chicagospizza.com. Click on your closest location and order the $25 medium pizza family meal deal. 25 is the special number, $25 medium pizza family meal deal, and 25 Indiana locations, 18 of them in Central Indiana. Make the entire family happy tonight. Even better, make yourself happy tonight with Chicago's Pizza. Chicago's Pizza, where there's a story told in every slice.
JMV here for my friends at Premier Weight Loss. You know what's funny? When I was in my teens, body exploration meant something completely different than it does now that I'm 56 years of age. I can say now that it means, where am I on my weight loss journey? Down nearly 80 pounds. How about my body fat percentage? Down from 35% to 13%. Now it's time to add muscle mass, or lean mass, if you will, with the tone stimulation machine that they have at Premier Weight Loss. You can do the same. Weight loss journey and then tone up with Thomas and Samantha and the gang at Premier Weight Loss. It will work for you. That's PWLND.com. Mention my name. For the first 10 days in the month of December, you could win 2 lower-level tickets to see the Niners and the Colts. If you want to lose the weight, if you want to feel better, it's PWLND.com. You can do it. Tell them JMV sent you. PWLND.com today.
Marcus Morris here with Family Heating and Air. As we're reaching colder weather, you may find yourself in need of furnace service. At Family, we specialize in solutions to extend your furnace life. Call the Fix-It team from Family. You can easily reach us at FamilyHVAC.net. From our family to yours, have a happy holiday.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
With Wawa's Rewards program, you can rack up points on the items you buy every day, even fuel. Boost your totals with a breakfast sizzly. Score points with your morning coffee. With Wawa Rewards, points put the power in your hands. You can choose to redeem them for what you love most, like an iced latte for an extra pick-me-up or your lunchtime hoagie. Download the Wawa app today. When you gotta get rewarded, you gotta Wawa. Fuel rewards not available in New Jersey or were legally prohibited. See full details at wawarewards.com. Price and participation may vary by store.
When I decided to do something about my thinning hair, I knew I had to pick the right team, and that was We Grow Hair Indy. If you want the best results, you go where the pros go. That is We Grow Hair Indy. They are the gold standard when it comes to hair restoration. Located northwest side, that would be the Pyramids, building number 2, and a free evaluation awaits. You contact them today. It's WeGrowHairIndy.com or call 317-522-2995. Again, that's WeGrowHairIndy.com. 317-522-2995.
Jake Query here. Each weekday noon to 3, guests appear live on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. Use code JAKE25 at javahouse.com to save 25% on your first order.
The Cal Bears face the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors in the Hawaii Bowl. Wednesday night at 7:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
This is Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
So there are now, and I'm always cautious, and I don't mean that as, because I know it's a different, it is. We live in a different world in terms of news distribution. And there are, so what I'm getting at is I mean it as no disrespect to have hesitation when someone posts something on social media that you would assume would know and can confirm certain stories. But while there are people that have posted that, yes, in fact, confirming that Greg Biffle and his family were on the plane that has crashed, there is not an official from officials. When I say officials, I mean like NTSB or those confirming who the victims were. But it would appear as though Greg Biffle, his wife, and 2 children, or at the very least one child, were on the plane that crashed in North Carolina, and officials there have said that it was fatalities and no survivors of the plane itself. So my guess would be that it will be, and you know, in today's world, news does happen very quickly and get confirmed very quickly. Also, it can spread erroneously very quickly. That's why, and I apologize for walking around, you know, tiptoeing through it, but you do have to be careful in situations like that, because sometimes you just never know when if there is an independent, even though it looks like it is very credible, someone close to Greg Biffle saying that Greg Biffle and his family were involved in a terrible plane crash in North Carolina. And again, the people that would be much closer to that situation can opine or spread or discuss, I guess I should say, the stories of goodwill about Greg Biffle well more than I, only to say that as someone who is involved peripherally with the sport of auto racing and has been involved, not intimately, but pretty close to it within NASCAR on a number of occasions, I have never heard anything other than Greg Biffle being a really, really good guy. And in my very limited experience, I've never heard anything other than Greg Biffle being a really, really good guy. So that is where things stand with that. As for the Colts, back on the practice field, and Bernard Ryman and Sauce Gardner are 2 that I was really interested in. Eddie Nathaniel, don't call me Atticus Finch, was our boots on the ground over there, and he did shed some light, did he not, on what he was able to see or learn from Shane Steichen as to the availability of Sauce Gardner and Bernard Ryman.
Those 2 will not practice at least today, but Shane Steichen said they are progressing well.
And they do have an extra day, obviously, right? So then DeForest Buckner is back, right, on the practice field.
I believe he was limited every day last week leading up to the Seattle game, so things are trending in the right direction for DeForest Buckner to be playing against his former team.
So that's Phillip Rivers is the starter, and Riley Leonard is back on the practice field, and in that capacity, Shane Steichen had said when it comes to Phillip Rivers, like, look, Riley Leonard is good to go. He's cleared, but he has a great chance to learn, essentially, is where he went with that, or how he said it. So Riley Leonard is the backup, and Anthony Richardson is kind of its own entity, because what we know is that Anthony Richardson, Shane Steichen said that Anthony Richardson was still having some limitation. I'll put it to you that way, limitation, and with his vision. And Anthony Richardson said, and someone pointed out to me, and it's a fair point, and it may well be the right point. But one of the things that was pointed out to me when we played the 2 clips of those 2 men earlier was, hey, these are 2 people saying the exact same thing, just in different ways and different wording. And maybe that's the case. And maybe I'm guilty of jumping to something and determining prematurely that there's more there than is there. That is entirely possible. Now, Eddie, we played it earlier. Do you think, in fact, there's more there than what's there? I will let you fester on that, and we'll let everybody else hear it, and we'll do it on the other side.
The Ride with JMV.
The one criticism that you have about, well, you didn't prepare. Nobody was talking about wanting to prepare with the backup quarterback earlier this year. I know some of you are going to say, well, I mean, Daniel Jones does have a history with the Giants of an injury. Maybe you should have had somebody else on the ready. Well, I mean, they did have somebody else on the ready until he about popped his eyeball out trying to stretch before a game, and now he's no longer on the ready.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 till 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
The Butler basketball season is rolling along. Don't miss your chance to get in on the action. Your next chance to get to Hinkle Fieldhouse to cheer on your Butler Bulldogs is Monday, December 22nd, when the Dogs take on NJIT at 2 p.m. A weekday matinee. Come see the sunlight shine through the windows at iconic Hinkle Fieldhouse. With most students home for break, there are some great, unique seating options, so buy your tickets now at butlersports.com/buy tickets. Be a part of Hinkle Magic and make Hinkle your second home this season.
Hey, Colts fans, Crown Royal is a proud partner of the Indianapolis Colts, and this season it's not game day without the generous spirit of Crown Royal. Whether you're at the tailgate, in the stands, or watching from home, Crown Royal is the reason and the reward for coming together. Grab a glass with the Crown Royal rig at a stadium near you, because we'll be sharing the generous spirit with fans across the country. Crown Royal, fueling game day with a generous spirit. Visit www.crownroyal.com/royal rig for more on the Crown Royal Rig Tour. Please drink responsibly.
JMV here. Temps are dropping, and that means your water heater, softeners, and even those old pipes are under stress. LD Smith Plumbing can handle it all. Even gas line inspections before you fire up that furnace or fireplace. And don't forget your hoses, hose bibs, and crawl space vents before the freeze hits. Call my friends at LD Smith Plumbing online, ldsmithplumbing.com.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
My husband's an animal in bed.
Well, you know.
Not in the fun way. Think warthog. With a chainsaw.
Snoring and sleep apnea affect over 90 million people, and 1 out of 4 couples sleep in separate rooms. Advent can help. We've been your one-stop solution for nasal congestion, snoring, and sleep apnea for over 20 years. Unlike many other practices, we focus exclusively on these conditions, so you get comprehensive care under one roof. Advent's unique approach can help you breathe and sleep better, and many avoid a CPAP. Plus, most insurance is accepted for our effective 20-minute in-office treatments.
And happiest of New Year's. Thanks for your business. We really appreciate it. If you live in Hendricks or surrounding counties and need us, we are always here to help. Kirby services any model, and we proudly install American Standard products. Call us at 317-892-3614.
Kirby is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Happy holidays from Kirby Heating and Air Conditioning.
Food insecurity is an urgent problem, one that impacts real Hoosiers. You can help today. Gleaners needs donations. Your contribution goes further with Gleaners. For every $10 you give, Gleaners leverages their resources to turn your $10 into $90 worth of groceries for families who desperately need help right now. Your gift benefits local community members, and every dollar counts. Gleaners also needs volunteers now to help with warehouse distribution. Go to gleaners.org and donate or get involved today.
It's Terry Stacy for Cynthia's Hallmark, and this Christmas, give her something she'll treasure forever. The most sought-after jewelry in the country, E. Newton. Timeless, elegant, and designed for everyday wear. And don't forget the classic Ronaldo bracelets, hand-wired with care in New Albany, Indiana, and these gifts are gifts she will truly love. E. Newton and Ronaldo are available only at Cynthia's Hallmark in Greenfield, and if you're looking for relaxation as a gift, explore the Lemon Lavender Collection. Pampering spa day favorites, perfect for anyone who could use a little comfort this season, and you've got to feel the lavender-scented Warm Pals. They're gently weighted, warm, and in Greenfield.
It's BullseyeEventGroup.com. The Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. Your Colts
D2 HD3 Indianapolis.
Hey, it's JMV later on this afternoon at 3, downtown Coach's Tavern. Me, Tommy S., Brent Holverson, Larceny, Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul, Tequila Shots, samples, and more. You got to join us starting at 3.
This is Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Okay, several things to get to here today on a very busy, newsy Thursday. It's really funny's the wrong word, I guess, but fascinating about doing this job because there are days when you're in here and it's like you feel like you're treading water. Sometimes, not always, sometimes it's tragic, right? And the situation of what appears to involve Greg Biffle. At the very least, it involves a plane that he owns. One driver who apparently Greg Biffle's family was on the way to visit has said that it was Greg Biffle and his family that was on board. But again, nothing is confirmed. But a plane crash in North Carolina and fatalities involved, and increased number now of statements that Greg Biffle is believed to have been on board. But that is still officially, in an official capacity, unconfirmed at this point. Also, I don't know if anybody saw this before we get into Shane Steichen and the Colts news. It is not necessarily of local significance, but Will Wade is the head basketball coach at North Carolina State. And he's one that, and I always get confused. Like Morehead State, Murray State, McNeese State. I get those three confused. McNeese, I believe, is in Louisiana. And then Murray State and Morehead State. Murray is in Kentucky, I believe, and Morehead State is Tennessee or vice versa. It's one of those two, right? But McNeese, I believe, is where Will Wade was, right? When he had the kid with the big jam box. Wasn't that, am I correct in that?
Oh, I forget his name, yeah.
He just transferred, by the way, did that kid back to, that kid had transferred, I believe.
Lake Charles, Louisiana, McNeese State.
And the Jambox kid had gone, I believe, with Will Wade to North Carolina State and then is now back at McNeese State. But Will Wade was a guy that was at LSU, has had a ton of success from a coaching standpoint. There were allegations of impropriety at LSU that caused him to get terminated. He then went to McNeese, kind of revamped himself, and is now at North Carolina State. Yesterday, and I'm paraphrasing. I mean, we could play the audio for you, but I'll just paraphrase it. Yesterday, Will Wade, after a North Carolina State game and a loss, was asked about the performance of his team and was speaking about his disappointment in the team. And in doing so, he kind of made a snide comment along the lines of and almost damning the fact that they had a great grade point average and that they had a 3.0 grade point average on the team. And he's like, great, so what are we doing? Trying to raise kindergartners here? I'm paraphrasing. I'm trying to win basketball games. And while I understand in the moment coaches' frustration, etc., when you are within the umbrella and you are coaching for an entity that still, no matter how flippantly people digest the term, when you are working and coaching underneath the umbrella of the National Collegiate Athletic Association, the NCAA, and even though we now know with NIL and quarterbacks getting $3.5 million and point guards, probably getting close to that, and etc., even though we know this is, in fact, the G League for all intent and purposes, this is semi-pro basketball. We all know that. But you are still underneath the umbrella, at least for now, of the student athlete. The student athlete, not the employee athlete, the student athlete. And yes, it is now to the point where players are playing for a university because that university gets them the most money. And what Will Wade just did subconsciously was say the subconscious part consciously. And he said the quiet part out loud, and everyone has known it. But this is where we are now. And it's a whole new world of the Wild Wild West. I mean, I'm old enough to remember. When there were question marks about having gambling lines in the back of the newspaper, because why did you have that when gambling was illegal everywhere? And when it was, you couldn't even whisper the possibility around a college athlete, let alone a pro athlete, about gambling and whatever else and get them on record talking about it or anything like that, because there just could be no marriage between the two. And I'm old enough to remember. I'm not saying any of this is right. I'm not saying any of it was the better way by any stretch. But I remember when the thought of having teams professionally in Las Vegas was unheard of. Unheard of. And certainly UNLV, when UNLV came here in the RCA Dome in 1991 and they were beaten by Duke, and the point shaving photo, or the alleged point shaving photo, came out there shortly thereafter of their players in a hot tub with a gambling fixer, it was a fait accompli amongst people that there was going to be some sort of a bring down of UNLV, because that's why you shouldn't have teams and lost wages, because gambling and sports have nothing, they should never be involved with one another. And now, obviously, we'd like to tell you more about that on the FanDuel television app, brought to you by DraftKings in the Bet365 halftime show. And that's all. I mean, I get it. People should, in a free society and free country, be allowed to exercise and do the things as they choose, so long it's within their personal responsibility. I get it. But I'm simply saying, along those same time frames was the discussion of student athletes. And we can't have a college football playoff because it takes kids away from class for too long in playing games consecutively. Yet we have the NCAA tournament, which, wait for it, happens actually during semester, when the college football playoff happens during the semester breaks. But there was always this coded, narrative that college basketball players and college football players were going to said schools for the education aspect of it, and they're getting free tuition and free books, and they're getting tutors, and they're graduating. And yes, that is still true at a high number of schools. And absolutely, there are thousands upon thousands of young players that thank goodness for that, because that's getting them the opportunity to better their life via education without the financial restriction upon graduation that a lot of players have, or a lot of people have. And it affords the opportunity for a lot of people that would otherwise not be able to do so to go to college and et cetera. And that's wonderful. And maybe we're talking about like the top 1% of athlete. But nonetheless, for a big-time ACC coach to sit down and basically say, look, I'm supposed to be happy because my kids have good grades when they're not playing good basketball, it's ridiculous. They're not here for good grades. They're here as basketball players. That's basically what he said. And you know what? I don't even hate him for it, because he said the long time quiet part really out loud with a megaphone. And then, speaking of the long time quiet part out loud without a megaphone, that takes us to the Colts. Because I believe what you see is a head coach that's just over it. Not in a personality way, just in a time to move on way. Anthony Richardson suffered an injury, unfortunately for Anthony Richardson, that he had nothing to do with. I mean, yeah, he was the one using the rubber band for his muscle stretch, but that was a horrible freak accident that left him with an orbital bone fracture in his eye, which is an awful thing to think about. And now that bone has healed, and now that he's been cleared to return, that raised the question then of, Okay, does that mean he's going to be out on the field? And then Shane Steichen said, well, yeah, the eye's there, but there's also just we got to ramp up the physical activity to get him back into shape. And that's when Kevin Bowen said, Joel Erickson asked the question of, but wait a minute. You're saying that he is not meeting the standard because of the injury and the time away on IR, and he missed, 4 or 5 weeks? So for that reason, you are saying that he is not physically ready to be out on the field yet. The standard is 44-year-old, slightly overweight guy that hasn't played in 5 years. So you're telling me a guy that is within 5 years removed of being a top 5 draft pick because of his physical attributes is now in a position where he's not able to live up to the standard of physical player that 5 years removed from throwing a pass in the NFL. I think Shane Steichen in this case, I'm not going to say he needs media training. I like the guy. I like him a lot. But I think that he understandably is trying to be respectful of saying what he really wants to say. And we ran this through the Elixir yesterday. But when he was asked about Anthony Richardson today, listen to what Shane Steichen said in terms of Richardson having the eye bone healed but not being out for practice.
Yeah, I think you get the clearance from the bone structure. That was cleared, obviously, but there was limitations with that, with the vision that's healing. So he's working through that. Like I said, he's going to have to manage it, get him out on the practice field and go from there.
Okay, limitations with the vision that's healing. Here is Anthony Richardson shortly thereafter when asked about clarification on what it was that Shane Steichen had said.
I feel normal, I'm able to see, able to drive, walk around, not bump into anything. So there's not really major limitations, it's just a little different because of the impact that happened to my eye. But, most of it's really the same. I'm still able to move around the same and do everything I need to do. So that's not that bad.
Okay. Now, granted, he did clarify with major limitations, implying that, there is some limitation. But if he can do everything normally, he can drive, he can do everything else, it sounded like it is a hesitation of being worried about getting hit in that area, and I totally understand that. But, Eddie, you tell me, does this sound like two people saying the same thing but just saying it in different ways, or is this one guy that is basically just trying to essentially say, look, I don't want the guy to play. I'm looking for any reason to play anyone other than him.
Can it be both? Can it be both things? Can they both be saying the same thing, but the way that Shane Steichen says it makes it appear in the way that you just said there? But at the same time, Anthony Richardson is saying it in a different way that's much lighthearted in the aspect like, hey, yeah, I'm fine. It's not that bad. As we talked about earlier, he is one to monitor after the season of a team that is in need of a quarterback that is kind of in a rebuilding phase. And, hey, let's give this guy another opportunity. We know he's got all the traits. Can he work in our system with a fresh start?
Yeah, I mean, that's...
So, could they both be right? Could they both be saying the same thing, just in different tones?
I think so. I mean, I do think Shane Steichen, though, is out on him. I'm going to stick by, Eddie, the fact of I feel like it seems to me like Shane Steichen has just come to the conclusion that Anthony Richardson does not play another meaningful snap in Indy. Now, meaningful. And if you're Anthony Richardson, you want to make sure that no one, if you're Anthony Richardson, it's in your best interest to say, look, I'm healthy as can be, because he probably has to know that he's also still in play for other teams to perhaps have an interest in him.
Because it looks, based off, depending on where you look at, the Colts just have to win 2 of these final 3 games.
Right.
And if they lose against, San Francisco on Monday night, then is it Houston or Jacksonville? Because I think it's Jacksonville. If If you fall,
it's San Francisco, Jacksonville, Houston.
Yeah, so if you fall to Jacksonville, then you're eliminated. So then you would just, go to Riley Leonard for that final game? Like, hey, let's see what he's got. Full week of preparation as a starter. The only other time he entered, meaningful snaps was because, Daniel Jones exited early.
Now, I think the best thing that was said, Adam Alexander, by the way, going to join us just 2 or 3 minutes from right now about this Greg Biffle situation. In terms of the situation with Anthony Richardson and Shane Steichen, this is such a fabulous point made on the X-Post Twitter from DJ Scott. Shane Steichen is the strict, serious dad who can only relate to the straight-A oldest child and doesn't have a clue what to do with the wild, free-spirit younger one. And yes, I do think it's personal. That is a perfect way of putting it. Shane Steichen just connects to and relates to Daniel Jones. And Shane Steichen, I think, just doesn't have the same relatability and just can't kind of constantly he feels a frustration of the fact that he's not been able to completely get through, if that makes sense, to Anthony Richardson. Joining me now on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line, Adam Alexander, of course, I think everybody knows. Long-time brother-like friend of mine and NASCAR announcer, on the CW Prime Video as well. Also has worked in a number of different capacities for organizations covering NASCAR, and in that capacity, working with, alongside, interviewing, etc., Greg Biffle. Now, I want to be very clear. There are reports, of course. What we know at this point is this: a plane that is owned by Greg Biffle's Aviation Corporation crashed in North Carolina this morning, and officials have said there were fatalities on board. While it is not officially confirmed that that was Greg Biffle and his family, there are those that are saying that that is the case. But Adam, working with NASCAR, wanted to get you on, Adam. I appreciate it under what is obviously a still developing story and one that we don't know confirmation on. But is there anything that I did not mention there that in North Carolina you are hearing that I did not cover?
No, I think you said it correctly. There are those that are, sending, condolences to Greg's, family. And while that would certainly be what you want to do in these circumstances, there have been no official reports. There was a press conference, I would say in the last 90 minutes, couple of hours, something like that walked through the details of, the plane took off from Statesville, it returned. Obviously there was some sort of an issue, and then the plane crash occurred when they were returning to the airport. And you said it, there were fatalities, but those names have not been officially released.
Did they mention in it, Adam, and if you didn't hear, but to your recollection or understanding, did they mention the possibility that there would have been any survivors of said crash?
They did not mention that. The last number that I heard and read in the reports were that there were 5 fatalities. And so, and I don't know how much, they covered that side of it in the, the press conference. But of course, anytime, a plane takes off, there's a list of passengers in the manifold. And I don't know how that differentiates on those local, on those private aircrafts in comparison to a commercial aircraft. But I know that they have checks and balances that they go through as well. And so I'm sure there's a record of, how many people were on board and all of that. But I don't know how much of that has been released, and I'm not aware of all of those exact details.
Have you worked, Adam, with Greg Biffle directly?
I have. I worked at the first race I ever did with MRN Radio in the fall of 2000. That night, Greg clinched his first Truck Series championship, and that was kind of the beginning of him becoming one of NASCAR's great stars. And, the last time that I visited with Greg was about a year ago at NASCAR's award ceremony wrapping up the 2024 season. and Greg was recognized with the Myers Brothers Award, which is given to someone who is a great contributor to their community from the NASCAR world. And it was given to Greg because Greg, who has always been noted for his, aviation side of things, utilized his helicopter pilot's license to deliver food and goods and help those that were negatively impacted by Hurricane Helene. And he didn't just jump in and help. He really led the movement. And so it was that night that, Greg was recognized for, his heroic acts and his selfless acts through a very difficult time in the North Carolina, Tennessee region. And that's probably the last time that Greg and I spent time together. But obviously I was around and followed, his career when he was on track winning a truck title and Xfinity championship, and then, the years that he was competing at NASCAR's top level and winning races.
Yeah, and obviously, one of those guys that, Adam, Greg Biffle as a driver was one that, and he did not win a Cup championship, right? But that's not to say that there weren't years that he was in contention in it heading down the home stretch of the seasons, right?
Right. Yeah, I think he had 19 Cup victories, never won a championship at the top level, but knocked on the door, was in the hunt. Certainly in the prime of his career was considered one of the best drivers in NASCAR, was named, one of the top 75 drivers, has been a finalist for the Hall of Fame. And so yeah, very well respected and someone that is noted as one of the best to ever do it.
Adam, to your knowledge, did Greg Biffle, this is inconsequential, I realize, I'm not, but I'm just strictly out of curiosity. I know that he had a vast aviation background and interest, as you mentioned, and was well noted for his heroic efforts in helping out folks using his helicopters after that hurricane. Was he himself an airline pilot or an aircraft pilot?
I don't know that. I'm not positive on that side. I was reminded last year when he got so involved in taking his helicopter around and helping everyone after Hurricane Helene. I was reminded, about his fondness for aviation and how much time, he spent on that side. But I don't know, where he fit into that as far as all the licensing he had when it comes to the various aircrafts.
So Greg Biffle, again, it's safe to say, Adam, and I'm going to say it in current state because we don't have any confirmation here, but Greg Biffle, talented race car driver, personable guy from what I could know of him, pretty humble dude, right? And just overall, a people-first humanitarian guy. Safe to say?
No doubt. I mean, he was a true competitor, and you can go to YouTube and you can find clips to find out what a true competitor he was, but always handled his success with tremendous humility and grace. And as he, had retired, even though he was no longer someone that you saw at the track week to week, and the younger fans probably, didn't realize what he had meant to the sport at one time, he continued to use the platform that he had created as a very successful race car driver to give and to help out others. So there's no question. He's a tremendous guy, and one that was always ready to give back and help in any way possible.
Well, Adam, I appreciate you coming on in, literally like spontaneous moment when I reached out to you about this. We'll hope for the best on the story itself and wait for confirmation as to what happened. The reality is, whether or not it was Greg Biffle, there was a loss of life, and you never want to see that in any situation or story, and certainly thoughts with those that were impacted by it. Adam, short notice, I realize, appreciate it. Happy holidays by all means, and Merry Christmas to your dad, the rest of your family, and everybody down there.
Thank you, Jake.
Adam Alexander joining me on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. All right, we'll take a break. The helium factor started to kick in there a little bit, and we'll reset the helium tank, and then Matt Taylor, the voice of the Colts, will join us, and we'll do so on the other side.
Hellsberg gifts checked off the list. Now, time for wrapping. Earrings for Mom. A gold bracelet to match the rings Danielle wears every day. And for Dad, a new watch, because we all know he needs one. All right, this is going to be a good one.
Our favorite things for your favorite people. Shop in store at Hellsberg.com for up to 50% off.
Hey, it's JMV. If you like bourbon, Big Red Liquors is your place. Visit bourbonworld.net to get all the info you need on the good stuff, along with monthly allocated raffles online and in-store. You can sign up for weekly bourbon reviews at bourbonworld.net as well. If you're passionate about bourbon, this is your place. Log on to bourbonworld.net today. All a part of what Big Red Liquors can do for you. For a location nearest you, log on right now. That's bigredliquors.com.
This Christmas, get a bonus AI Essentials course when you enroll in any My Computer Career IT program by the end of the year. That's a $3,900 value. Attend classes online or on campus. Enjoy lifetime job placement support and IT certifications in high demand. Go to mycomputercareer.edu today and take the free career evaluation. That's mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Conditions apply to AI offer and financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill.
Hey, there's Jake Query for Chicago's Pizza, and I love Chicago's Pizza. You know, I've told this story before. I'm going to tell it again. When I first began my relationship with Chicago's Pizza, I went in and met with every owner of all 25 locations statewide. And then I met the Epple family, you know, Ron that started it, and his sons, one of which is going to win our fantasy league, by the way. But I saw their commitment to community and how important it was for them to have a pizza establishment where people could come as a family, as friends, as coworkers, whatever it might be. And if they're not enjoying the lunch buffet from 11 until 1:30 every day, that they've got the family meal deal, 2 medium, 1-topping pizzas, and a fresh order of breadsticks for just $25 that they can enjoy. Then I saw during the holidays how they gave back with different programs and helping out the needy throughout central Indiana and statewide with their initiatives in terms of percentage and proceeds from gift cards and from their sales at the lunch buffet, going towards things like Shop with a Cop, all kinds of different programs. And that's why I love Chicago's Pizza. And the pizza, it goes without saying, fresh made every single day, including the fresh rolled breadsticks. Fabulous pizza, fabulous people, and all part of a fabulous community. 18 Central Indiana locations, 25 statewide. Find the location nearest you at chicagospizza.com.
When the new year hits, every business could use a little something to stay ahead. A lift, a jump start, an edge, or perhaps a boost. Like the all-new 5-year business boost from Comcast Business. It's the certainty of a price lock for 5 years on qualifying internet bundles. Plus, you'll have the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment, so your whole team can stay connected at a great rate. And to sweeten the deal, ask about a $500 prepaid card when you add 2 lines of mobile. It's the boost your business deserves. So sign up for the 5-year business boost and get a 5-year price lock on ultra-reliable Wi-Fi. Plus, ask about a $500 prepaid card. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 2/22/26, new customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees. Best Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
Marcus Morris here with Family Heating and Air. As we're reaching colder weather, you may find yourself in need of furnace service. At Family, we specialize in solutions to extend your furnace life. Call the Fix-It team from Family. You can easily reach us at familyhvac.net. From our family to yours, have a happy holiday.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Guys, thanks for helping me carry my Christmas tree.
Zoe, this thing weighs a ton.
Drewski, lift with your legs, man.
Santa! Did you get my letter?
He's talking to you, Bridges.
I'm not that.
Of course he did. Right, Santa?
You know, my elf Drewski here, he handles the nice list.
An elf? I'm 6'3". What everyone wants is iPhone 17. And at T-Mobile, you can get it on them. That center stage front camera is amazing for group selfies. Right, Mrs. Claus?
I'm Mrs. Claus's much younger sister. And at T-Mobile, there's no trade-in needed when you switch. So you can keep your old phone.
Or give it as a gift.
And the best part? You can make the switch to T-Mobile from your phone in just 15 minutes.
Nice. My side of the tree is slipping.
Timber!
The holidays are better at T-Mobile. Switch in just 15 minutes and get iPhone 17 on us with no trade-in needed.
With 24 monthly bill credits for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Finance agreement 256 gigs, $830. Eligible port in a new line. $100 plus a month plan with auto pay plus taxes and fees required. Check out in 15 minutes or less per line. Visit T-Mobile.com.
Baseball great Lou Gehrig was known as the Iron Horse for playing 2,130 consecutive games.
But it was his reaction to his greatest challenge, the fatal diagnosis of ALS, that made Gehrig a household name and a beacon of strength for all those facing the disease. The Live Like Lou Foundation honors Lou's legacy and inspires hope for a world where ALS is no longer fatal. Donate or volunteer today at livelikeLou.org.
Treat yourself with a new watch from Moyer Fine Jewelers in Carmel. They have over 20 watch brands, including Omega, Breitling, Hublot, and the Midwest best selection of pre-owned watches. Tell them JMV sent you.
The Ride with JMV.
I'm not going to sit here and bag on Phillip Rivers all day, but the problem remains at that position, you have to be a threat downfield. You had 2 plays, over 15 yards. He did not completely cost you the game, but he was unfortunately costly in a different manner because he does not allow you to do what needs to be done.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Count on Shelby Materials.
What's happening on West 56th? Presented by Shelby Materials, the concrete and aggregate experts. We'll find out in 30 seconds.
Do you want to work for a company who has your back? You can count on Shelby Materials. Shelby Materials has 10 ready-mix locations in central Indiana and is looking for Class B CDL drivers. Highlights include being home every night and every other weekend off during peak season. Shelby Materials stands behind its work, products, and people. We support our employees with competitive wages and benefits, including 401k, PTO, paid holidays, HSA, and a sign-on bonus. Learn more about your next opportunity by visiting shelbymaterials.com.
The Java House Peel and Pour guest line, courtesy of Shelby Materials. Matt, let's get right to this. Bernard Ryman, Sauce Gardner, those guys are not on the practice field today, but everything's kind of staggered today because it's a Monday night game. Is there still possibility that those guys could get out before we get to the game with San Francisco?
Yeah, so think of it like today is a Thursday, but in NFL terms, when you're playing on Monday, it's kind of like a Wednesday. It's like the first day of practice and guys getting on the field again following the last week's game against Seattle. So it's not all that uncommon for a guy, to sit on Wednesday and then come back to practice on a normal Thursday or Friday, in this case, Friday, Saturday, leading into Monday Night Football. So, I don't think the bells and whistles and alarms are going off just yet, but we'll see. We'll have more of a better indication tomorrow on those guys' status because tomorrow, even though it's Friday, it's like a Thursday practice.
And we, at this point, it appears clear, Shane Steichen, and you tell me if I'm paraphrasing or if Shane Steichen said it outright. Phillip Rivers is starting Monday night, right?
He is, yep. And I get the indication that Phillip is probably going to be their guy the rest of the season.
Matt, the question I have there is this. See, I thought personally, and listen, you're up there with a bird's eye view of it all, so feel free to either fill in holes here or flat out tell me, nah, that's not really how it worked. But it seemed to me in that game against Seattle that Seattle spent, say, the first quarter to quarter and a half kind of feeling out exactly what the Colts offense was going to be under Phillip Rivers, and then they adjusted what they needed to do to constantly spy on Jonathan Taylor and then just kind of keep Phillip Rivers in check because they knew that he was limited in terms of the long field velocity. And my concern would be that San Francisco now has that blueprint and pushes all in on that. Is that fair?
Yeah, what you saw throughout the course of that game was, Seattle's got a really good defensive line anyway, so they were still getting pressure and still kind of impacting the game with their front four. But what you saw them do throughout the course of that game or kind of adjust to was they're not going to blitz Phillip Rivers. They're going to get after him with their front four, but they're going to play really tight on the outside and make those throwing windows, in the angles pretty sharp and hard to fit the football into. So that's kind of what happened is, they were kind of foolish and blitzing him early in the game, and then he would throw it to where the blitz was coming from, and that's how the Colts were getting some first downs and staying on schedule. And, that's the thing about, that game plan this week is, I know it wasn't aesthetically awesome to watch, but it almost worked considering how well the defense played. And you go back and you kind of look at the box score or like the game notes, like the game book, if you will. The Colts had They had 9 possessions in that game prior to the last possession where they turned it over and they only had the one play on the interception. But take that one out. They had 9 drives for the game, and they reached plus territory in 6 of them. And so that's how I think, the 49ers are going to play going forward is, they're not going to probably send a lot of pressure on Phillip Rivers, but they're going to play pretty tight on the outside and make it tough, based on his skill set and his age at 44 and not being really mobile. They're going to be, I think, be pretty concentrated on shutting down the free releases on the outside from guys like Pierce and Pittman and take away the deep ball and, again, make those throwing angles pretty sharp for him to fit the ball into at the line of scrimmage.
I was intrigued by and a little bit impressed by, Matt, the use of Amir Abdullah out of the backfield and just kind of the incorporation of that wrinkle.
Yeah.
Is that because here's a guy that finally they found maybe some looks that they liked, or was it more so Phillip Rivers has always had that kind of an out-of-the-backfield kind of guy, and it fit with what they wanted to do and was a comfort zone for Rivers, and therefore Abdullah was able to answer that bell?
Yeah, Darren Sproles, Naeem Hines, when he was here with Phillip Rivers in 2020, he loves throwing the backside of the backfield, and he knows exactly where those guys are going to be. And if you play with Phillip Rivers as a running back, you got to be where you're supposed to be because he knows where you're supposed to be probably better than you do. And so, that's always a safety valve for him, especially with, how the Seahawks were playing that game. Get the ball out quick, get it out on time, and let guys with better athleticism than Phillip Rivers go out there and make plays and get yards after the catch. That jerk route, or that sort of hard angle route that they ran with Amir Abdullah was really productive. They probably ran it 3 or 4 times and they hit it for some big yards. And so that's what I think you're going to see a lot of, check downs to Taylor, check downs over the middle to Abdullah. I love what they did on that quick screen on the first completion of the game, that wide receiver screen to Pittman. These are all kind of like extensions of the running game where, if you hit them, that's good. And, if they break for, big yards after the catch or yards after contact, that's great. You take those. But those are implemented to keep you on the field and set you up on, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. Obviously it goes without saying 3rd and long for Phillip Rivers is not a recipe for success, especially when you're, kind of stacked up in your own territory, which they were a couple of times at the beginning of that game. But, inevitably they're going to have to be a little bit more, for lack of a better term, they're going to have to be more open. They're going to have to be they're going to have to open the playbook and be a little bit more aggressive in their game plan. I think, it sounds cliche, but there's always a way to win every game. And the way they approached that game in Seattle on the road against that defense with the crowd, I thought was the appropriate way to try and win that game. And again, the defense allowed you to stay in that game. But inevitably, you're just – 215 yards of offense and just a hair over 60 of that comes in the second half and only 4 first downs past halftime. That's just not a winning formula. Everybody knows it. So we're going to see if Phillip Rivers can implement more of the intermediate part of the passing game and get guys like Pierce and Pittman a little bit more involved.
By the way, Eddie, so we haven't gotten totally into helium tank category, but it sounds like Matt's taking a couple of hits off the balloon of it, right? Isn't that right? Okay. Matt, we working through some of the kinks here with the move. Occasionally it will kind of speed up somebody's voice. So at the end, and you're a team player in this. We've gotten now, let's see, we've got Joel Erickson, we've got Don Fisher, no, not Don Fisher, Stephanie White, Joel Erickson, Ralph Reef. We've had a couple of really good follow the Yellow Brick Roads, and we're going to get one from you on the way out and then kind of judge you versus others to see how good a member you are of the Lollipop Guild, okay?
Wait, I sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks here? What's going on?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like Theodore?
A little bit. Can you tell me that you want a hula hoop? Can I just get you saying you'd like a hula hoop for Christmas?
Yeah, Christmas, don't be late. Come on now, I can jive with you.
All right. The laugh is strong as well. But while we have you, before we go full helium here, what do we know about San Francisco and just maybe what Shane Steichen has said in terms of the challenge they create or the areas that the Colts can exploit?
Yeah, I mean, defensively, I think there's some remnants of the Gus Bradley approach and his methodology on defense. I mean, you kind of look at them on the big picture on that side of the ball. I mean, first of all, they've just been ransacked with injury with Nick Bosa out, and then you've got the injury to Fred Warner, their all-pro linebacker. Those guys are out for this season, and it's not really, I mean, unless you live in the Bay Area and you're a diehard 49ers fan, there's not a lot of household names left on that side of the football. But collectively, they're kind of middle of the pack defensively, right in line with the Gus Bradley era here with the Colts. They give up a high completion percentage, right around 68%. So, they don't do a lot of things great. They're not deficient in a ton of areas, but the one area that they really just don't get a whole lot of production from is their pass rush. They only have 16 sacks as a team through the first 14 games of the season. I think they only have 3 guys on their roster right now that have more than 3 sacks on the year. And then again, I think it probably goes without saying on offense, the trio of Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle. I mean, those guys kind of drive the ship on that side of the ball. Wide receivers are involved, but not greatly. It's more so the Kittle and McCaffrey show. And then just kind of a little bit of a sidebar. It's going to be fun with Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey on the same game field for the first time in their careers, right? This is going to be the first time they actually play, quote unquote, against each other, even though, both guys are on offense. You get what I'm saying. But these guys are both top 3 in scrimmage yards this year. They're each of them are over 250 carries on the season. So heavy workload for their respective running backs in this game. And then with McCaffrey, as we know, too, he's one of the best pass-catching backs out of the backfield since he broke into the league in 2017. So you got to know where McCaffrey is number 23, and then keep an eye out for George Kittle, because those 2 guys are basically the stars of their show on offense.
Okay, Matt, on the way out, and I'll give you your pick here. You can give me a line from Alvin. You can give me a "We represent the Lollipop Guild," or you can give me a "Follow the Yellow Brick Road." Which one would you like?
Well, you said the other guys went with the Wizard of Oz. So give me Alvin. Give me an Alvinism.
I guess you would just say that you want a hula hoop for Christmas, right?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. How about this? You simply say, "I just want a hula hoop," but there you go, and just in your normal voice. You don't need to Alvinize it. Our elixir does it for you.
I'm just gonna piss off Dave Seville real quick and get everybody riled up here. So. Me, I want a hula hoop.
All right, Matt. Enjoy. Of course, we got a Monday show to do as well, and then Monday Night Football. It will be the Indiana Knights version of the Colts uniforms and the San Francisco 49ers. Appreciate it, Matt.
All right, that was not on my bucket list today, or my bingo card. So.
It went even higher.
Just a day in the life in this show, man. Holy smokes.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Right,
Eddie is, I think, on the floor now. Eddie doesn't know what's going on.
I didn't know Eddie could get much higher.
Yeah, Eddie has been working doing the Christmas lights show, and this is a new experience for him.
Yeah.
Eddie do you have the Ralph Reef from yesterday? Is that on a hotkey anywhere?
I'll have to go get it.
Because we could compare now. We're accumulating the best of. And Eddie, by the way, before we get to the crossover with J&V next, brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air, I have a little bit of a contention, a little bit of a bone to pick with Eddie Garrison. Well, I'll explain it next.
No matter where you're headed, it's nice to know Hubler's got you covered for 200,000 miles. Visit drivehubler.com or any of the 13 Hubler locations.
This time of year, it's about the snacking, and you want to do some elite-level snacking, right? Whether you're watching football, maybe it's a little bit of hoop, but seriously, on a cracker, a chip, a vegetable? How about a burger? The spreadability of Win Schuler's and their fantastic cheese spreads from original cheddar, sharp cheddar, bacon and cheddar, and jalapeno pepper. The spreadability of Win Schuler's, you can find it. Win Schuler's, Gordon's Food Service and your favorite Meijer location across the state of Indiana.
Christmas Nights of Lights Drive-Thru Holiday Spectacular returns to the Indiana State Fairgrounds November 7th through December 31st. Synchronize to your favorite Christmas tunes and a million sparkling lights. Enjoy a dazzling winter wonderland for the whole family. Reserve your spot at ChristmasNightsOfLights.com.
Hensley Legal Group is one of those firms that puts the client above all else.
We pride ourselves in caring and communication.
We're extremely passionate about helping them through their tough times.
We truly want to see our clients get better.
It happens. Hire Hensley.
It's a new season with a new QB.
Football is back.
And so are Bud Light Blue Fridays. Every week, join JMV starting at 3 for ice cold Bud Light specials, football talk, and chances for you to snag tickets to Colts games and get some amazing swag on us. And get in on the football toss for a chance to win a trip to Las Vegas for your shot at Super Bowl tickets. Join JMV this Friday at 3 at Whiskey Business North on Pendleton Pike. Bud Light Blue Fridays. The Fan cares, and if you or someone you care about needs food assistance, we have resources for you, including food distribution locations with an interactive map. Also, learn how you can make a difference for friends and neighbors in need, all at 1075thefan.com.
Hey, JMV, the holidays are upon us, and so is winter weather. This year, stay prepared and give everyone on your list the gift of peace of mind by giving a AAA membership. As a AAA member, you get roadside assistance 24/7, 365 days a year, whether it's a flat tire, dead battery, lock your keys in your car, and so much more. You also get exclusive travel discounts on hotels, rental cars, and even entertainment and events happening across the Hoosier State this holiday season. Now through the end of the year, new members can join AAA for just $50 for a one-year classic membership and add an associate for free. Then check another thing off your list by giving someone you care about a new AAA membership. Use the code HOLIDAY25 online at AAA.com or when calling 844-GO-AAA-GO. That's 844-GO-AAA-GO or visit your local AAA office today.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Everything from tequila cocktails and bourbon to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out the adventurous drink menu. And don't forget about the 29-degree drafts.
This is James with Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling. Out working during the holidays, I always love getting to customers' houses, they're baking, getting the free cookies or the cakes or things you're going to take home with you. Sometimes you're there helping somebody on Christmas Day and it becomes a benefit. My wife's like, "Oh, you had to work today," and I don't tell her about the case of cookies I got in the truck that I got while I was at Mrs. Jones's house. So we're here if you need us. You're part of our family.
Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you, because you can't be pinned down, unless you want to be. Your first love story is free when you sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com.
The Colts take on the San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football. The coverage begins at 4:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan and 97.1 Hank FM.
Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You know what's interesting? This is actually three guys we just got singing live right now on the phone line, right? Now, let me ask you this, Eddie. I'm not saying that I have a bone to pick with you. By the way, those that are listening on the app, I am told that if you push play a second time, that it will reset itself and take care of the issues of the streaming on the app. If you hit play a second time. And the good news is you might be hearing me say that like 9 times. There's been no mention by Eddie Garrison. Let me explain and give a little bit of a background here before we get to the crossover with JMV, brought to you by Love Heating and Air and love-hvac.com. On my way in today, I already had 3 missed calls from Eddie from this morning. I thought, he didn't leave a voicemail, he didn't text me, it must not be urgent. Then he called and I answered, and you asked me to stop and pick you up something on the way in, which was not a big deal, right?
Right.
I'm going to guess like 79 cents is what I paid. You needed some cough drops. Although I haven't heard you cough, so you must be doing okay.
I've been doing fine, yeah.
But I placed the cough drops on top of a gift that was left, and you now are in the same category as one Joel A. Erickson, and yet there was no mention of it, no recognition of it, and I thought maybe you didn't get it. And then I walked past your cubicle, and lo and behold, I see the gift sitting right there, acknowledging and representing that, yes, in fact, you saw, claimed, and picked up said gift.
What's on my desk?
And took it to your work area.
What's on my desk?
The ferry paid you a visit.
I didn't know that.
They were on this.
Yes, sir. The beer ferry that stopped by Mr. Erickson's house actually asked me, when asking and confirming for Joel A. Erickson's address, if there was anybody else. Beer Ferry had a surplus shipment. And I said, you know what? Eddie Garrison could use a drop-off from the Beer Ferry after I ran into the Wisconsin Bureau of the Beer Ferry. And yet, no mention of it.
Well, Jake, if it was dropped off in the studio, per guidelines, it was not supposed to be in here. So there's a chance that somebody moved it from the studio to my desk, and I have not been to my desk since the show started.
It is unopened.
Or are they bottled or are they canned?
Bottled.
Okay.
Unopened. JMV is out on remote. Do we have John? John joins us as he is out and about. JMV, we find you where today?
Do I sound good right now, Jake? Give me the evaluation of my voice.
Yeah,
do I sound good?
You do. You do.
Okay, because it doesn't matter how you guys sound to me because it is not becoming. But as long as I sound good to you guys, that's all that matters, right? And that matters.
You sound fit as a fiddle and ready to go.
Hold on a second. let me go ahead and do that. Check, baby, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do my rump shaker for you right here to make sure we're all good to go. Do I sound good? Check,
yes.
baby,
and
1, 2, 3.
You will be allowed to zoom, right?
I'm going to nest a rump shaker. Coach's Tavern downtown. Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. Jake, we are doing week 16. And I love what you brought up regarding Richardson Sr. and Shane Steichen not being on the page whatsoever. If there's nothing more appropriate of the Colts over the years, it's that right there
do you think
today.
Because, John, and I'm the first to admit, I don't know. Do you think that I'm reading that correctly?
I think that they want to squash any thought that he is going to participate anytime soon.
Correct.
I think that he wants to make sure that everybody thinks he's not a big wuss.
Yes, I would agree with that.
I mean, to put it bluntly, that's what I think. And in the process, completely mishandle stuff per usual, which really, that's the only consistent thing this organization has done for a while is mishandle nearly everything. It's pretty funny.
There's very little question about that. Pacers Knicks tonight. Coaches is the perfect spot to see John and, of course, enjoy the program before you head over for the game tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And again, 7:30 till 9:30 tonight. I'll be at Night Owls in Beach Grove as part of our event with Mick Ultra. Would love to see you there as well. So you can go see John, then come down to Beach Grove, watch the game. It's going to be awesome. And JMV will get things underway and kicked off for you coming up next from Coaches. Coaches is like a home away from home, John. Love it.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I love it. Tommy S. and I and Brent, we're going to fire things up and, lead everybody down to this Pacer game later on tonight.
All right, so we will do that. We will send it out to John shortly for that, and he will carry you home. Pacers Knicks tonight. We will talk about it tomorrow, and we will do so promptly at noon. My thanks again to Adam Alexander in a tough situation in the developing story with Greg Biffle. Also to David Woods for joining me on the program today. Tony East, Matt Taylor as well. Back with you at noon tomorrow, and I thank you for listening to Query & Company.
The Ride with JMV.
The one criticism